All right. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Today, I'm going to talk about something incredibly ordinary. Despite being ordinary, this is actually one of my very favorite mental exercises. I call it the examination of the teacup. I like to bring our teachings into focus around simple, everyday things. You might remember my talk on waffle existence a few months ago, because simple, everyday things is most of our life. Golden Buddha statues, mystical sutras, and beautiful temples are great. They can be inspiring, but they can also subtly reinforce this idea we can have of specialness. That we have to go somewhere, experience something, or be something special to have transformative practice. This is very silly. Practice is nothing special. There is nothing special in all the world. Or we could say that everything is special. Or we could say, and this might be the most accurate, that there is specialness, but we get it wrong. The 17th century Chinese Chan master, and remember, Chan is the Chinese precursor to Zen. Linji, in describing the appropriate actions of the practice, he says, don't try to do anything special. Just act ordinary. There's no call for anything special, just act ordinary. When it's time to get up and get dressed, put on your clothes. When it's time to walk, go for a walk. When you must sit, then sit. Just be your ordinary self in ordinary life, unconcerned with seeking Buddhahood. This doesn't mean we don't practice, obviously. It just means that it's not helpful to set up categories of specialness. That doesn't help us. It can make us blind to the preciousness of everyday life, like the waffles and the teacup. Dogen actually talks about this as well. He doesn't discount specialness, he just says that we get it wrong. In the fascicle Miraculous Communication, Dogen tells us miracles are nothing other than fetching water and carrying firewood. And that even when people do not know that fetching water is a miracle, fetching water is undeniably a miracle. And he says, even if you do not know the miracles happen 3,000 times in the morning and 800 times in the evening, miracles are actualized. So luckily, we don't have to get it right for miracles to occur, which is good. What I think is really interesting is that Dogen actually said that the type of things we tend to ascribe the specialness to are minor miracles. The reason he calls them minor miracles is that they are limited by circumstances and depend on special practices and realizations. They may occur in this lifetime, but not in another lifetime. They may be available to some people, but not to others. They might appear here, but not there. They might seem to appear at some times and not at other times. And the greatest miracle is that existence occurs in a way that allows for these miracles to occur. Dogen goes on to say, encompassed by the power of great miracles, minor miracles occur. Great miracles include minor miracles, but minor miracles do not know great miracles. So when we really pay attention, we can tune into the major miracle that is this world, and then we get to see the special stuff too, right? But if we get too fixated on looking for special stuff, or too rigid on what we decide the special stuff is, we miss the life that is here and now. So when we concoct an idea of what is special, and then we spend all our time looking for it, we miss our lives, which is the actual miracle. So today, we're going to ignore those puny minor miracles like dragons, demons, and golden Buddhas, and focus on the major miracle of the teacup. I thought about bringing in a happy cat teacup, those lucky cat teacups with a little waving arm. My wife has one, and I thought it was very cute. But I thought using one of the everyday teacups from the Zendo would actually make more sense in the context of this talk. You may have heard that rocks and trees preach the Dharma. This is a pretty common Zen saying. How many people have heard rocks and trees preach the Dharma? Anybody online? Yeah, it's pretty common. The truth is everything preaches the Dharma. We're just too stupid to listen most of the time. Today, we're going to try very hard to listen to the Dharma of the teacup. Everybody ready? There are multiple lenses we could use to look deeply at the teacup. Today, we're going to investigate the teacup and how it embodies and supports our practice. This teacup holds the tea. The tea is warm, it has caffeine, smells nice. It's good for me, and it makes me feel good. This teacup, in holding and delivering the tea, is supporting my practice in a very real way. There is nothing today I'm going to talk to you about that is philosophical. This is all real concrete stuff. Nothing heady. This teacup is supporting my practice in a very real way. But it doesn't stop there, because we have to examine, what is the teacup? What is this? We could and should examine who it is that is supported, but we're going to leave that on the side for now. We don't want to make it too complicated. It's important to investigate how this teacup is a relational event. This cup is the soil and the water that was mixed together to make the clay, along with the effort of whatever individuals were involved in the creation of the clay, along with whatever materials and effort went into transporting the clay to the site where the molds were poured. I'm going to stop every once in a while and remind us that I'm not saying the teacup contains the dirt, the water, and the effort. Because saying that the teacup contains something implies a separation. The teacup is those things. This teacup is the water, the dirt, and the effort. And everything else we're going to talk about today functions the same way. So we come back to the clay being made into the teacup itself. It goes through a variety of machines, each one a relational event of materials and effort itself, along with various bits of handwork. Actually, went down a rabbit hole and was YouTubing how teacups are made in factory settings, and I was shocked at how much handwork still goes into making them. Before this thing is fired and finished and set off to whatever store or warehouse it will rest in before it comes to us through another variety of means. Each and every one of those means of production, transportation, storage is also the expression of incalculable conditions coming together. The teacup is all of those things as well. The water, the dirt, the effort, the factories, the exhaust fumes of whatever truck it got put on, all those things are this teacup. It's present right here. And of course, this concept we have of teacup is a relational event. Why do we say teacup? This comes into being as a teacup when I put it into tea and relate to it in that way. The teacupness arises in this relational event. It takes the two of us coming together to create the teacupness in this moment. If I put scotch in it, would it be a shot glass? To my cat, this is not a teacup. It's just something maybe he rubs his face against because he thinks that's the best thing to do with everything, right? So their relational event is different. If I chip this cup or I smash it on the ground right now, do we relate to it in the same way? Is it still a teacup? Did we lose anything? Was any of the causes and conditions contained in this teacup, were they lost if we smash it? Is anything in the universe different? Like, do we lose anything if we smash the teacup? No. Our ideas maybe, or what makes a good teacup, but nothing fundamentally is lost. Every other thing I'm going to mention next is also an expression of the universe coming together in a particularity. Try to keep that in mind because I don't want to reiterate it at each level or we will be here for several hours. So just remember everything I talk about, everything I just said about the teacup is functioning in the same way. Also try to remember the teacup is the whole universe, just as I am, just as you are. And it supports my practice, just as I support the practice of the teacup. We come together in a particular way. This is not the teacup serving me, but the teacup supporting my practice. This teacup, in enacting the teacupness, supports our practice. Then I put the teacup down. The teacup rests on the podium, and all the causes and conditions we've already described for teacup are present in and as the podium. The teacup is supported by the podium. It's not a one-sided relationship. It's not just the teacup being served by the podium. Teacup practice is supported by podium practice. And in this relational event of podium cup, because it's one thing coming together, podium cup, because they're not separate, the teacup is supporting the practice of the podium. The relational event of teacup podium allows, supports, embraces the embodiment, the enactment of the podium in a particular way. So we say the teacup rests on the podium. The podium rests on the floor. The floor has the wood paneling, and some of you might not know this, but the floor also has the Heart Sutra that our teachers chalked on the floor before we put down the wood paneling. So this entire floor is covered by the Heart Sutra. Every time you walk on it, it's kind of like spinning a dharma wheel with the Heart Sutra on it. It's kind of cool. So the floor includes the paneling, the Heart Sutra, the effort of our teachers, the effort of all the Sangha, all the people who built the building is present in the floor. The floor supports the practice of the podium. Everything we've talked about before with the teacup and the podium is in the floor, is the floor. The podium and the floor are engaging in this relational event, podium floor. So we say the podium rests on the floor. The floor is resting on the foundations of the building because it just keeps going. Every way we've talked about the teacup, the podium, and the floor continues at this level. Every bit of material, every tree that goes into the lumber, every bit of concrete, every bit of water, of effort, of sun and rain, all of that is present right now in the foundations of this building. It supports the floor. It supports the teacup. It supports the podium. It supports the teacup. It supports us. So we say the floor rests on the foundation. And all of this rests on the earth itself. The infinite, improbable factors that went into the formation of the earth and the land supports the foundations of this building. It's present at every level, but I think this is like a good, easy spot to say life itself. Of course, that was happening all the time, but I think the earth is a good and a kind of natural life itself place. None of the levels that we've talked about could come together without life itself. So each thing we've talked about, the teacup, the podium, the floor, both individually and in the sequence that we're discussing them, rests on life itself, even as each one of these things is an expression of life itself. So we say the foundation rests on the earth. And yet it still keeps going. The earth is supported by the solar system. The perfect balance of gravity and mass so that the earth is in the exact Goldilocks zone for there to be earth, oceans, atmosphere, and life. The warmth from the sun, the pull of the tides from the moon, all coming together to realize and support earth practice, even as the earth is an aspect of realizing and supporting solar system practice. Teacup, podium, floor, foundation, earth, solar system, each supporting the practice of the other, being the practice of all the others at the same time. And so we say, the earth rests in the solar system. And yet the turtles continue because it's turtles all the way down. All our solar system is orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It encounters different galactic environments, according to one astronomer, with varying interstellar densities, including hot voids, supernovas, blast wave fronts, and cold gas clouds. And I only know what some of those things are. And it says that the sun's passage through these things affects the sun as well. All these phenomena that make up the process of the galaxy support the practice of the solar system that is present in the podium, the teacup, and in us. And when we zoom out even further, we see that the galaxies are orbiting each other. The Milky Way and the Andromeda are the two largest objects in this kind of local group. because their masses are comparable, they actually are orbiting each other. The center of mass is actually between the two. And since nothing else is bigger, you have this relational event of these two infinitely large things orbiting each other. And this big event brings us back full circle all the way back to the teacup. Because what we see here is that there's no real center. Everything is relational. Everything is pulling on everything else. The galaxies orbit each other in the universe as our galaxy supports the solar system, which supports the Earth, which supports the floor, the podium, the teacup, and us. And so while we can say that the teacup rests on the whole universe, it is equally true that the universe rests on the teacup. And that's the crux of it. We can say universe, galaxy, solar system, Earth, foundation, floor, podium, teacup. The whole universe supports our practice. And this is 100% true. The universe supports our practice, but it's never actually hierarchical. It's a relational event. The teacup rests on the universe, and the universe rests on the teacup. And more than this, when we think back to the beginning of the investigation of the teacup, we understand that the water, dirt, and effort, all the immeasurable conditions coming together, we realize that the teacup is the entire universe. And this means that the universe supports the practice of the universe. The universe rests on the universe. When the Heart Sutra says bodhisattvas rely on prajnaparamita, we are talking about the universe supporting the practice of the universe. When we look at the teacup this way, we can see the life of the teacup, the dynamic functioning that is teacupness. The fact that the entire universe is present in this teacup. How could anything ever be more precious than this? When I investigate the teacup in this way, what I find emerge is awe and gratitude. We can pierce the layers of teacup to podium to floor to foundations, etc., and realize in a very real, non-woo-woo way, like I said, this is all grounded. There's no philosophy today. The whole universe supports our practice. If you really stop and think, the whole universe supports my practice. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Kind of mind-blowing. And we realize that every level of this is actually the whole universe. The universe supports the practice of the universe, and that means you too. You are the universe, supporting the practice of the universe. You're neurotic, tired, cranky, happy, loving, heartbroken, joyful self. You are being supported and supporting the whole universe with your practice. And thank goodness for that, because I don't think any of us could do it by ourselves. And that's the best thing about all of this, the investigation of this precious, wonderful, completely mundane teacup. It's not doing anything out of the ordinary. This very basic teacup. The teacup and the way it relates to the world is what everything else is doing all the time. The dharma gate of the teacup, the awe, the gratitude, the insight, is available to all of us all the time, everywhere we look. All of existence and all of particularity is screaming the dharma all the time, if we can pay attention and listen. Dogen says, you should entreat trees and rocks to preach the dharma, and you should ask rice fields and gardens for the truth. In earth, stones, sand, and pebbles, there is to be found the extremely inconceivable mind which moves the sincere heart. I'm going to read that one more time because it's my favorite. You should entreat trees and rocks to preach the dharma, You should ask rice fields and gardens and teacups for the truth. In earth, stones, sand, and pebbles, there is to be found the extremely inconceivable mind which moves the sincere heart. Thank you.